Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. Today we're going to have a look at Jarryd Roughead, and I was just scrolling through the ownership and bloody hell, Jarryd Roughead has skyrocketed. He's up to about 40% ownership, top 5. When I did this list prior to the JLT Community Series, he was probably around 15 to 20, and he's just exploded. Obviously in these player profiles I'll take a look at some of the more popular players, outline the pros and cons, and then hand down a bit of a verdict. He's in 39.6% of sides, and I must admit he's even got me fairly tempted as well. I did a bit of a Hawthorn preview a while back, covered Roughead, and my thoughts on him were that it was just too risky. It was unlikely we were going to see him back to anywhere near his best, at least not in the first half of the season, which is when you want your mid-prices playing great footy. And it was just great to see Roughead back out in the ground. And all of a sudden, he's come back in amazing nick. He's moving around the ground very well. And I'm pretty much naming the pros already. But look, you can get Jarryd Roughead in the forward line for $367,000, and his pros are obvious. Not only is he in amazing nick at this stage, he was great in his half a footy against the Cats, and then against North Melbourne, racked up 23 touches, even a few clearances, 2 centre clearances. He's just roaming the ground. He's always been very mobile and good below his knees, but he's always been that key target for Hawthorn. I just wonder whether the inclusion of Vickery, Gunston's really shown that he can be a good player as he was last year without Roughead. I'm just wondering whether Roughead, who has always had a bit of a licence to go around the ground, but I'm just wondering now whether he will play a more permanent roaming role. A little bit like Nick Riewoldt. It won't be exactly the same role. Riewoldt's your lead up, hit up sort of guy, but Roughead can float into the stoppages, and I feel he can be very damaging. Clarko's used him at pinch hitting in these ruck clearances sort of situations, but I think maybe we could see him in there more often. And of course his scoring history is fantastic. Averaged 95 plus since 2011. Of course he missed last season with the terrible health issues, which above all is great to see that he's back, but I don't think anyone thought he would come back in as good a nick. Of course we haven't played an AFL game yet, but the pre-season games have gone way beyond expectation. At first he wasn't in my side, and all of a sudden he's in calculations. Now, the cons, they're a shorter list but a very relevant list, and that he did miss all of last year. We are unsure how his match fitness will go, although we have been a fair bit surer since the last couple of weeks. And if you want to get into a con, well, his price is probably a little bit of a con. $367K, it's a little awkward. Our forward line's offering quite a few nice premium options that are just below your premium price tag. I just wonder if Roughead's price is maybe a little bit awkward, but I guess a lot of people are thinking not. He's in many sides at the moment. My verdict, first off, is he in my side? No, he is not, and that's a structure thing. I just can't fit him in there, and what's difficult for me, and what a lot of people might be finding, is I look at Dalhouse, lock, McRae, lock, Heaney, lock. Then you're going to fill out the rest of your bottom half of your forward line with rookies, and then you're probably left with an F forward position where you're going, do I go a Roughead or do I go a Caddy? You know, where do I go there? Do I go a Nick Riewoldt, who's looking great as well? That selection and the thought behind it will really make or break you. Just a quick little, I guess, versus, Caddy v Roughead. The decision simply comes down to Roughead. I think if we're going a Caddy type, you're picking him on the proviso you think he can be a final mid for your side, or forward line, sorry. And I think Roughead at $367K, he's probably not going to earn you amazing dollars, but I really do feel like you probably pick him on the thought process that he is going to get back to that 95 average and maybe a little bit more. Because at $367K, it is mid-price and could be a stepping stone, but I think when you pick Jarryd Roughead, I really do think you're picking him more than as just a stepping stone, and you're really going to pick him as a guy who can average great numbers. So he's not in my side at the moment, but I can definitely understand why he is. He's exploded into many people's teams. I'm really thinking about working him in, and I wouldn't rule him out at this stage. If I need to find cash for another position or another upgrade, the potential to go Caddy, who is in my team at the moment, down to Roughead to free up 120 odd K would certainly be an option. That's a flexible sort of option for my team. But I suppose I just feel that there's better options in the forward line at this stage. I think that there are a few guys who are on the cheaper side of things, i.e. Heaney, Wingard, Caddy, who I think can average better than Roughead. And I do have a little bit of concern, as I've mentioned with the Essendon players, they're missing a year out of footy. Just gives me concern. I know he's come back unbelievably well, and it wasn't a muscle injury, it wasn't a knee reco, so it's slightly different, but I'd still have concerns because he has been out of the game for so long. But if he is playing this sort of role where he's rolling around the ground, doing as he pleases, racking up midfield possessions and then capable of going forward, it would be hard to say no to him. No doubt about that, because I think at this stage, I reckon we could be fairly confident he'll average around the 90. I think the real decision of whether he makes your team or not will be whether you believe he can get that 5, 6, 7 extra points. I know that's minuscule and maybe a little picky, but I do feel that's the difference. A Roughead that averages 89, yeah, alright, you can probably give or take. I'd probably rather Caddy from the start, who I feel could average 95 plus very confidently. If you're wondering why I think that, check my preview on him. Player profile, not too far ago I did that. So I think those 7-8 points difference is enormous. Sure, it's only 8 points a game, but it all adds up over time. It all adds up over your dollar figure and gets you to where you want to go quicker. So that's enough for Jarryd Roughead. He's a real interesting case, and I was surprised because I just checked that player ownership just before, and I was surprised because probably the other day I looked and he's gone way up since then. So he's the flavour of the month, along with his mate Jager O'Meara. They're both flying, both in the top 10, both in the top 7, I think. So really impressive on those point of view, following some great games on the weekend. Next up, I'll take a look at a man who's just been named captain, so that probably pretty much gives it away. But nonetheless, I'm hearing a lot of people bring him back into focus. He's been in and out of sides with injury. Now he's been named captain. He's coming back in. I'm not exactly following the logic there, but I'll discuss that very soon. I'll catch you soon, guys.